Everybody, I am Ned Stoller. I'm with the Michigan Agribility Program. We're a partnership between Easter Seals Michigan and Michigan State University Extension, and then we have a bunch of private donors also. And we help any kind of worker in agriculture that has an injury or illness or disability. And I'm an agricultural engineer, so I go to the farm, or in your case, the apiary, look at the tasks that need to be done, what are your physical limitations preventing you from doing those tasks, and how can we accommodate your situation with different tools, devices, methods. I am not a beekeeper by trade. I've learned everything I know from Adam over the last 2 years. But what I do know a lot about is broken bodies and agriculture work, and how much effort it takes to get a job done, whether it's beekeeping or dairy farming or growing vegetables, whatever it is. So I'm going to talk to you today about an assortment of different tools and concepts that might help you as you keep bees. Your most important tool that you have when you're keeping bees is your body. It's yourself. And so if you're working at a task out in the apiary that is making you hurt or injuring you, making you feel way worse at the end of the day than at the start, that's where you want to start thinking about, what can I do different? Have you heard the term ergonomics? Okay, so ergonomics is keeping things comfortable for your body, and when you're healthy, ergonomics are an option, right? When you're healthy, you can bend down and pick up a frame all day long. You can pick it and twist. Not wise, but you can do that. If you have a disabling injury or illness, or if you do that poor ergonomic task enough times, you're going to injure yourself. Now we call it assistive technology. Assistive technology and ergonomic principles are very similar, because the wise ways of doing your work, which is ergonomics, are also the best ways of doing your work once you have an injury or illness. So there's a lot of overlap in this conversation that we're going to be having. So if you're sitting there thinking, well, I don't have any problems with my hands, that doesn't really apply to me, you should still think about these tools and devices and concepts, because it can help to preserve your hands for the next 20 years of keeping your bees, or however long that you want to do it. So some of the common principles of ergonomics are to lift with your legs and keep your back straight. Don't bend over like this with your back. When you're working in a shop, if you can keep everything within 17 inches of your body, so that would be the closer half of this table, so that you're not reaching way to the back of your tool bench. Or when you're going out and you're working on your hives, if you can just think about that, it's convenient. You're probably already doing a whole lot of ergonomics. Keep your tools close. If you don't have to set your tool down on the ground, then don't. Set it on something else. Okay. Ergonomics is not rocket science, but it's interesting. If we don't think about it, we'll start doing a whole bunch of things that's going to wear our bodies out that we wouldn't have to. All right? So I'm not going to talk a whole lot about ergonomics, but I did want to show you one thing here that I've started doing just this year. It helps a lot. Air feet. Alright, is a gel cushion in my shoe. And when I'm walking a lot and working all day, it really helps a lot on my feet. If I'm standing in one place in my shop, working on the concrete, I've got 4 of these. You can buy a 4-pack for, I don't know, $5 or something at Harbor Freight. Maybe they're $2.79 and you can get one of your 20% off coupons. But I just throw these all over my shop. You can see all this melted holes in it from when I'm welding and grinding and stuff. But just to be standing on a cushion, out here it doesn't really matter on the soft earth, but if I'm on the concrete, taking care of my feet is going to make my back feel better, and my hips and my knees. And it's not expensive, but it is something worth paying attention to. Stand on something soft as much as you possibly can if you have any kind of back, hip, knee, ankle, foot situations. They do even make cushions like this that strap onto your shoe. You know, like people hiking in snow can put crampons on the bottom of their shoes for not slipping in the snow and ice. It looks like the same thing, except it's a foam cushion like that thick that you can strap on the bottom of your shoe. So somebody once said, if it goes without saying, somebody ought to say it. So I'm saying some things here today that probably go without saying, but if we don't say it, you might not think about how much it could help. Adam said that you all got a copy of this, Tools for Beekeeping, and this is just what I'm walking through and showing you today. So when we think about the apiary and what activities or work might be a challenge, the first one is lifting and moving your hives, right? Because sometimes you want to move a whole hive, but more often you need to move hive bodies off to get down and inspect your brood. And you might not want to move the whole thing, but now to get to your bottom box, you have to do this, okay? And then you have to inspect it, and you're like this. So the first thing that you can do is get yourself a hive lifter. I saw a video of this on YouTube, and so I built it. And I think it was about $200 worth of materials, and I spent 6 hours in the shop building it the first time and a couple more hours updating it, and I'll probably be spending a few more because the guy that's been using it said the handles need to be farther apart and the wheels need to be farther apart, and so I'm going to make the handlebar actually adjustable up and down for him to see where he wants it and some things like that. We have just a regular mover's dolly and a boat winch and some steel construction that I did to build this, if anybody's got a shop. And once I get it just how I like it, I'm going to put the drawings out on the Agribility website. So if you have a local welding shop that you want to have build it or do it yourself, you can do that. But it's just got tabs here on the side that'll go in and catch the side of your hive body.
woodworkers bar clamp on the back side of that tighten it.
There we go. So that allows you to get down to your brood box and do your inspections, and then you can put it back. For $1,000, you can buy one of these. Adam Ingrao has been using one. It's called the Kaptar lift. It was made in Hungary. There's actually a company in the U.S. now building them. And so I will move my homemade model out of the way, and Adam can demonstrate his hive lifter. So I guess the situation here is whether you have more time or cash. So,
You had like a woodworker's bar clamp on the back side of that with either a sliding or a
woodworker's bar clamp to pinch the sides in
yeah.
to grip the hive. That would be a simple way to keep those tight. Yeah. And actually, I think that might be what they used on the YouTube video that I watched. Okay. So Adam's device, you can explain it, Adam.
So this is the Kaptar lift, and this is not how it comes stock. I'll first say that. So I got this lift as part of a Farmer Veteran Coalition fellowship, and I know you've all heard me talk about FEC and lectures and things like that. The fellowship's the real deal. Up to $5,000 every single year that you can get. And Tom and Marie got a nice grant last year that helped them increase the size of their apiary. My big thing, being a disabled vet, I have ankle, knee, and now back injuries that are affected by the initial injury in the military. And so lifting things is really tough for me. And so this was the first thing that I asked for with my FEC fellowship, and it has been a game changer for us. When it first came to us, the axle and the way the wheels were mounted is not how it is now. Originally, the wheels were mounted on the inside of this, which seems like a good idea because you can get in between boxes if they were like right stacked next to each other. However, anytime you put any weight on this thing and try and move it, when the wheelbase is so short, this thing just wanted to tip over all the time. And last year we closed down an apiary that was on a hillside, which for ergonomic purposes never put an apiary on a hillside. And we had to move hives out of there that were weighing 200-300 pounds, and this thing just wanted to tip over constantly. And that is a tough situation when you're moving a bunch of bees. So Ned worked with me and the mechanical engineering students at MSU and actually came out to fix this Kaptar lift. And so they built this kind of heavy duty axle here and then put the wheels on the outside. And this year I've been using this and it has been a game changer. This thing is so balanced, going over uneven terrain, no problem at all with a lot of equipment on it. But essentially it's the same thing. So our big thing when we're doing inspections is that oftentimes you may have 3 or 4 boxes of honey on top of here. That's like 100 pounds that you have to remove and put somewhere else. If you don't have to move that by hand to get to your inspections, boy, that's a game changer. That's a lot of lifting that you reduce over the course of a day. A 10 hive apiary, you're talking hundreds of pounds of honey that you're not moving because of a lift. The way that this works is you come up to your hives, you adjust the height with this. Now this also does come in an electric version, which I did not go for because I was worried I wouldn't be able to get parts.
I think they took it off the market.
Did they? Okay, good. Electric parts from a foreign country oftentimes might be hard to find if you got to replace stuff. So you basically get the clamps in tight, and then you use this tension clamp right here that locks onto the hives. And then from there, you can move it up, pull them out of the way, and do your inspections. The other nice thing about this, you see how tall my tailgate is on my truck? I can get this thing to the height where I can take a full hive and just load it right onto the truck without ever lifting it.
So when you're gathering honey, you could pick up the top however many you want and set them right onto your truck.
Yep, I don't have to lift it at all if I don't want to. Yeah, it's a really big one. And then when you go back to reassembly, I really like this because you just come up to where the bar hits the hive body, and you can basically just drop it right down on top of it. So, this thing runs, well, it used to run about $1,400.
Yeah, the one Adam got came out of Hungary. It was $1,400. There's a company in the U.S. building them for about $1,000 now. So, it's,
1,400 including shipping?
Yeah, that was delivered. Yep.
so that's probably the difference. Didn't have to ship it from Hungary.
Any assembly required?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's all basic hand tools.
Now, if you don't have time or money, but you have a partner working with you, there is a hive lifter. It's a handle on each side, connected in the middle, and you have a person on each side, and when you pick up, it catches on boxes. Have you seen them? And they're about $65. So if you have a partner, when you need to go out and do your inspections, that can save your back. Now, I don't know what it is about us people, but we usually think if I can do this myself, I'm going to just do it. Maybe it's an American thing, I don't know, that we're just too impatient to get another person to help us. But I was standing here, and my wife was standing here, and I'm sorry, I forget your name already.
David.
David was standing here, and there was a cooler full of water sitting by that bush. About 4 bags of ice and 2 packages of water. Pretty heavy. And Adam picked it up by himself with his bad back and carried it from there to there. Instead of saying, hey Ned, grab the other end of this. Alright?
Could it be a man thing?
Okay.
No?
No, because my wife carried it out of the van and set it there herself. So there. It's not.
Okay.
But for some reason, a pride thing, I can do it. I'm still 18.
You look horrible for 18.
I'm sorry.
So anyway, a lot of this stuff might be working with another person instead of spending a whole bunch of time or money. Plus things can be pretty pleasant to do together with other people too. So I don't see any empty. Oh, these are all 8 frames, aren't they, Adam?
Yeah.
I don't think there's any 10 frame boxes out here. And that's for a reason. And maybe Adam's already talked to you about the beekeeping ramifications of an 8 frame instead of a 10 frame. But out in California, in the grape harvesting, they were having lots of musculoskeletal injuries. That just means sore joints and pulled muscles, sprains and strains. And they reduced the size of their grape harvesting lugs from 57 pounds to 46 pounds. And that cut the musculoskeletal injuries in half, just by reducing that weight from 57 to 46. So now the workers have to carry more totes to get the same amount harvested, but look at the difference in their physical health, and it's huge. So I'm a big proponent of the 8 frame boxes and using shallows instead of deeps, just so that you're lifting less weight. Now you guys as the beekeepers have to figure out how to keep bees in different equipment, but as you're getting started and buying your equipment, start out learning how to use the smaller boxes just to reduce how much weight you have to lift in doing that.
You all have heard me say that many times. In our operation, we started with the traditional 10 frame with deep brood boxes and medium supers, And a couple years ago, we decided we were going to switch over to everything to just medium 8-frame boxes. And our whole apiary up in the UP, 20 hives, is just in medium boxes, and then everything in the lower peninsula is still in 10-frame. And the difference in my body and how it feels when I work in the UP and when I work down here is night and day. After a day of working 10-frame boxes, I am beat. But working an 8-frame apiary is much more pleasant. So if you're buying equipment now, I highly recommend going that way. You have to buy a little bit more equipment, and you got to be a little bit more on your game because things fill out faster. But it's well worth the saving your body to have that little bit of extra work.
And here's something I'm going to say a lot. If it hurts to do a task, you're not going to want to do it. That's going to demotivate you. And beekeeping, you can't be demotivated. You've got to be paying close attention. I used to think dairy farming was the most complicated kind of agriculture. And beekeeping blows dairy farming out of the water. You can't imagine how simple it is to be a dairy farmer compared to keeping bees. Anyway. But it's beautiful, it's fascinating, it's a wonderful activity. So, if you can make it not hurt, you'll be more likely to be successful. And that's actually the bottom line of AgriBility, is to increase your likelihood of success in agriculture. And so if we can help you not hurt while you do it, that's what we want to do. Now, the commercial beekeepers that have hundreds or thousands of hives, they are stacking their hives on pallets. They're moving them with fork trucks. They have cranes on trailers and cranes on stake trucks that they can drive up alongside, and they can use their crane and pick up a pallet with 4 hives at once and set it on, and they can ship it to Florida or California or whatever. You're probably not at that scale or even interested in being at that scale, but the concept of having the crane and an arm that lifts out the side of a pickup truck or a small trailer, a boom arm, and then a cable that comes down, could also be used to lift hives. It has a like grabber tongs that when the cable pulls, it pinches. If any of you move logs and have logging tongs, it's the same thing. When you pull on the tongs, it pinches. And if you had your apiary set up where you could come alongside with a trailer or a pickup and have the crane come over and come down with your tongs and grab wherever you want on your hive, and then crank it up either with a boat winch or an electric winch, that's another option for lifting hives and even for loading and moving the whole hive. It just depends on the scope of what you're wanting to do. Now, that brings us to, I mentioned here a few times, getting to your hives. And that's the next aspect of beekeeping that needs to be accessible for you. Can you get to where your hives are? Perfect world, the hives are on a nice concrete pad somewhere with a beautiful field of clover all around, and you can just drive up there with your car and have all your tools and everything right there, and it's easy and comfortable. That's probably not realistic for all of us. Concrete would be great, but who's got $3,000 to pour a concrete pad to your apiary? Maybe you do. But just to keep from tripping, here it's nice and well mowed. But if you have to walk around your hives a lot, using some of this weed fabric to put down to keep the tall grass from growing up, so that you don't have to use this to control your weeds. Or I saw Adam had a string trimmer here. This can provide better footing and less trip hazard. It's not as good as concrete, but it can give you a nice surface to set your hives on, and you don't have weeds growing all up around. I don't know if weeds growing up blocks the hives, if you have to be concerned with that. Is that an issue? So this could help take another task off of your list.
I use that
This is greenhouse
for IPM
fabric.
purposes. That
Yeah, you could use that. You could use that for small hive beetle
Yes.
specifically, because small hive beetle pupates in the ground right in front of your beehives.
So will this keep that beetle from going into the
Should.
ground?
Yes.
So
Okay.
this
That was the
stuff
reason we
doesn't
cut
last
ours
forever.
down.
5 years.
4 or 5 years maybe, and you might have to be replacing it. But it's not
You just throw another one
it's
over
not
the top.
expensive. You can lay another one right over top of what you got there, and help you have a better surface. When you get to your hives and you're inspecting them, Adam and I talked about this the very first time we were together. I didn't know anything about beekeeping. We were out at his farm in Lansing. It was in the early spring. The bees hadn't started moving yet, and he had some empty boxes. He took them out on the sidewalk, and he was showing me. He said, "This is what I have to do to inspect a hive." And he twisted his back in all the wrong ways. He bent with his back and not his legs. He did everything wrong, ergonomically, for his back. And then he said, "We got to inspect our hives like this." And so my suggestion to him was that little table there. Why are you setting your hives clear down on the ground? If you could take your hive and set it on a table beside you, you can at least save yourself that much bending and lifting. It's one less step. And so Adam did say that became part of his beekeeping equipment, was just a little simple folding table. And then if you can take a stool with you, this is kind of a deluxe model that I built. It's an adjustable height stool, but maybe all you take is a little folding chair or one of those, something easy to get out there, so that when you're doing your inspections, you can be in a more comfortable position. So this stool, you can raise and lower yourself with a drill. A lot of people who have knee and hip injuries, it's very difficult to get down low to the ground and then stand back up. So this just gives a powered lowering and raising. But the difference of doing your inspections like this compared to like this, or even down on the ground, however it would be, it doesn't have to be a complicated stool, but take something with you to sit on, a bucket. So. Any other comments on that, Adam?
The stool, I haven't incorporated the stool, but I will say this: the table has been very helpful. That has been really nice. The one thing I will say about that table is the legs adjust. So even on uneven surfaces, like I can get one leg a little longer, or one set of legs longer than the other, but it has worked out really nicely. That twisting motion and then bending down, that's generally where all the injuries happen.
This is an old-fashioned milking stool that I put a long leg on. It used to be short, but people in their milking barns that had to be hunkered down beside a cow for a long time, they would strap a stool on that just went with them, and that's sinking down in here. It's not a real good
You don't have the end on it.
example.
I put the end of back.
Yeah,
in
the
front.
end is back in there, but anyway, if you have to be up and down,
The
and-
old-fashioned way.
what's that?
That's milking cows the old-fashioned
That's
way.
milking cows the old-fashioned way, but if
Okay.
you have to be up and down and moving a lot and sitting, Heidi's getting out the other end to this that we can put back on. But just throwing out other ideas to think about for having a stool, support, something to rest your legs. All of this depends on what's bothering you, what you need. So, there you go. Looks goofy, but maybe you're even picking raspberries and just moving down the row. Or
Strawberry season's just around the corner.
I don't know. When you're inspecting your hive, do you have to get up and move to the other side of it? Or do you do it all from one spot?
Preferably one spot.
Yeah, I generally stay in one spot.
Anyway, but just another concept to think about.
Only problem with that is, depending on
All right.
how far your hives are from each other, about, depending on
How much space you have for getting around between your hives. So that can be another thing just to think about if you need to get around other sides of your hives, keeping them spread out from each other. Different tools for your hands. When you're taking the hives apart, Adam has his hive tools here. There is one that's 14 inches long, about that much longer than this, to give you even more leverage when you're breaking that propolis seal. And we need a stick. Is there a stick laying there? I was
pretty clean here.
just gonna say, once you get it broken apart,
That metal bar that he tossed underneath the table might work.
there we go. To put something between it, just to keep it apart. Sometimes you can break that propolis seal and it sets down and clunks together and it's stuck again, and now you're doing a second or third time what you only needed to do once.
Yeah, especially when it's warm days like today.
Maybe once you get a corner broken loose, just poke something in there and prevent yourself from redoing what you've already done to rest your hands. This tool is called a chisel tool, and it just gives a different angle. With your hands gripping a small diameter handle like that is going to reduce your grip strength if you have weakened or arthritic or carpal tunnel in your hands at all. And so this is pipe foam insulation from Menards or Home Depot or wherever. And if you have arthritis in your hands, putting that on your screwdrivers, your hammers, your whatever you're using, a chisel, maybe even on your hive tool. I don't know how that would affect your beekeeping, but just giving yourself a nice, fat, soft surface to grip can help with that.
But it's cheap enough that you throw it away.
Do you have any
Get
of
another
the
piece.
hive grippers, Adam? Or the
I do not.
the frame?
No, I don't, Ned.
Okay.
Oh, you mean the hive tool with the grip?
Yeah,
I think we have one.
the hive tool with the grip.
I think we got one in the car. Let me go check.
Okay, we have a participant that's going to bring one to show. But
I might.
if reaching and grabbing the is a strain for your hands, there's a tool that will go down in and you have a wider handle on the top to get a hold of it and to be able to pull the frames out.
I found one of those online called the Mule Gripper. It's a little expensive for frame grippers. I want to say it was like $26, $27, but you got a hold of your frame and you twisted a knob, and now your frame is locked into that gripper, and they said you could actually like turn it upside down and inspect it instead of having to hold on to it.
So did it clamp onto a table or onto the side
No,
of your box?
the
or?
handle that you squeezed became the handle when you turned it upside down, came the frame holder.
Okay,
But the knob that you twisted held it
okay,
Held it steady so you didn't have to
so you
grip.
didn't have to grip it.
okay. I think that the frame grabbers I was thinking of are $12 or
Yeah,
Yeah,
something
and I
like
say
that.
for a frame
but
gripper
all
it was like
all it does is just
a bit expensive for
helps you get a hold.
grab, but
Okay, so that's another thing that we think about a lot is, wow, that's expensive to spend $26 just for something to grab a hold of the frames. But if my hand's not, if I can't do this with my fingers, and that's preventing me from beekeeping, a $26 item is pretty cheap.
If you've already got like needle nose vice grips, you just adjust them to grab the without crushing the wood, but they would lock on them and you could pull them out without doing this.
Maybe even a regular vice grip that,
Yeah.
Could get a hold of the
wide
top.
ends on 'em, everything.
yeah.
Make an
The,
angle too, so that way you can just put it down.
they,
Angle iron on, both
Sheet-
sides of crab iron.
sheet metal workers have all kinds of tools that are the vice grip concept, but they have long, flat
Yeah. I think you can get those
grippers.
for Harbor Freight, they're knockoffs, but they would work.
Yeah. So
And
you,
Harbor Freight's having a big sale this weekend.
oh, are they?
Yeah.
So ratchet straps. Now's the time to buy them if you're looking for ratchet straps for hives.
$4 for $6.
Yep.
So just think about it, not in terms of the direct price of this tool, and oh my, this is $26 for this thing, but think of it in terms that this $26 tool is my gateway to
Okay.
many years of happy beekeeping. Okay,
Clean on
here
it.
we are, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
So this one not only will grip the frames, but it has the hive tool right on it. Do you know where you got this?
Napoleon Beast plaque.
Okay. So it could even turn it into a two-hand task if you needed it to be. Don't forget this is up here.
Well, it's
It's
worth
yours.
saying that the downside to those is that there is no lock on them.
Okay.
So you need to make sure you have a very firm grip on your frame, or you will have good story to talk about.
And that's the one that I was talking about, has
So
the lock.
you had the knob.
Yeah, had the knob
Yeah.
to lock it
I
closed.
really need one with the lock, as my hands can spasm sometimes,
Okay.
and you don't. I mean,
So if
All
there's
you
nerve,
need is a
will
flicky.
work a hive, and I'll be the one telling him, "You got about 2 more seconds before I need to set this down."
Just discussing, you can get these vice grip things at Harbor Freight, some have like a wide jaw on them,
Yeah,
and you could adjust them where you just
sheet
grab
metal
them
workers use them.
without
yeah,
crushing any wood, but they would lock onto that.
yep.
And then you would-
I think that's been one of the biggest things that he and I have talked about, is that we actually don't use that a whole heck of a lot,
Because of that.
because we would prefer to have a grip on our frames as opposed to,
Maybe letting go.
I've never let go voluntarily, but I have, I have told him before, look, I'm gonna get a cramp in about a second here.
So if we have nerve damage in our hands, sometimes our hands will do things that they're not told to do,
Yeah.
Yep.
and you don't want to drop a frame. So is there any kind of frame holder that hangs on the side of your box that
Yeah.
once you get
Yep.
the frame out, you can prop
It's
it
a
in
side
place?
rack.
Okay.
Yeah.
So once you get it out, you don't have to keep holding it.
That's this net.
Okay. So that's already here. Is this common beekeeping equipment?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So those are just some thoughts for saving your hands when you're opening the hives up and pulling out frames. I will demonstrate. This is called a Grippy's glove. It has Velcro around your knuckles, so if you do have nerve damage or issues with your hands not doing what they're supposed to do, you can put this glove on and Velcro it to your wrist. And then once you have a hold of your hive tool, this is if you're going to be doing a lot of something, and it will hold that tool in your hand for you so that you don't have to squeeze all the time. If you're cutting weeds. Okay, so here's another concept to think about. Physical therapists argue about this a lot. I'm not a physical therapist, but I join in their arguing with them. You've heard of if you don't use it, you're going to lose it, right? So if you have good arm strength and you need exercise, maybe using one of these to cut the weeds around your apiary is a good idea. But if you have a hand injury that you can't hold on to this, you don't really want it to go flying when you're swinging it. And so that's where a glove like this could accommodate your hand and still allow you to get good exercise with your arms, shoulders, upper body. So it holds pretty tight. It's called a Grippies glove. And guess what? It's $35. Is it worth $35 for a Velcro glove? Well, maybe, if it enables you to do a necessary task. All right. In the workshop, a lot of beekeepers like to build their own equipment. Just working in the shop in the wintertime or in your extracting rooms to have a heated environment for the honey to flow, having a heated environment for you. Just to take the dampness out of the air, in Michigan, we don't have the bitter cold that they would in Minnesota, but we have a lot of chilly, damp days, right? From 25 to 35 degrees, cloudy and damp. And how does that make an arthritic joint feel, right? It's not good. And so just having the heat in the shop so that you have a comfortable place to work. You're going to be more likely to get things done if you don't dread going outside to do it. The adjustable stool and this is an adjustable height cart. This one does not have all-terrain wheels. It would be pretty heavy and difficult to use out in the apiary. But when you're working in your shop, it's just convenient to be able to position your work at a comfortable height. And this stool coupled with that, if I wanted to sit down and be working on a box, whatever the task would be, the combination of the adjustable stool and the adjustable table, you can get comfortable so that you're not bending your back or twisting in an awkward way. You've already mentioned Harbor Freight, but there's a lot of industrial tools that used to only be in factories that are now available to us for a reasonable cost. And for years, I recommended to my farm clients all around the state of Michigan to get an adjustable height cart and an adjustable height stool. A couple years ago, I was taught by a salesman that if you don't use the things that you're trying to sell to other people, they're not going to believe you. So I went and started buying things for my shop that I've been recommending to other people to use, and I'm amazed. I use this adjustable height cart and stool all the time, and these. When I do have to kneel on the floor, this is way nicer to kneel on than the concrete. So get your workshop comfortable for you, and you'll be more likely to do the things that you need to do to prepare for the season. And I didn't talk about the air filter for the smoke. If somebody has a respiratory impairment, maybe you have allergies to things that are out. Maybe the plants that your bees love for making honey, you don't, and you need to filter that air. This is a $16 option. These are P100 filters that will filter the particulates out of smoke for someone that's having an allergic reaction to it. How do you think I'm going to feel after wearing this today? Hot, right?
Better
And
than
it-
a trip to the hospital.
Yeah. And if I already have asthma, how do you think my lungs are going to feel about sucking air through this? It's going to be a challenge. But I was just at the Michigan Safety Conference this winter, and they have for $600. Now it's 600 instead of 16. But what are we talking about? We might be talking about your livelihood. We might be talking about your quality of life, your ability to get out in the apiary at all, and maybe $600 isn't that big of an expense. Maybe it's something for a Farmer Veteran Coalition fellowship request. But it is a device. It wears around your neck a little. I was going to say it looks like when somebody has a neck injury and it holds your head straight, but it's not that restrictive. But it's not a full helmet over your whole head. It goes around your neck and face, and it has a fan attached, and the filters are in that, and it is blowing fresh air. It filters it through these same filters and blows it to your face. So your lungs don't have to do the extra work, and it's not hot. It's not as hot because it's constantly drawing in the fresh air and blowing it to you. So
Something similar to a rebreather on a scuba diving thing.
similar.
But you don't have to carry your own.
Oh, don't have to carry again.
You don't have to carry the air tanks.
Let's get a full scoop of gear with regulator. Wear it out. You'll love your money.
This is an anti-vibration glove that if you have carpal tunnel or hand arthritis, if you're
Like
running
the
any kind of
string trimmer.
power tools, the string trimmer. There's 4 things that cause carpal tunnel and arthritis in your hands. We're all accustomed to the repetitive motion, right? Like if you're doing something 1,000 times a day, it's going to eventually cause carpal tunnel or arthritis in your hands. That's one of the factors. Another one is awkward grip. So if you have to twist your hand funny when you're working with a tool, you lose 50% of your grip strength by having your wrist twisted in an awkward way. And the high force, like if you have to squeeze really hard, that's another factor. And the 4th factor is vibration. So actually Adam's pickup truck or a tractor or lawnmower, that low frequency vibration is the worst. We think about the chainsaw and the string trimmer because we can feel that buzzy vibration, but it's the low frequency vibration that we don't pay attention to that actually has an effect all the way up our arms and shoulders, wrists and hands. So if you have any impairment in your upper extremities and you're driving a lot, you might think about these. There's a company online called Galton, and they're $10 for a pair just like this. Galton, Galeton. Otherwise, they're on Amazon for $16 or $20. But this is a very nice accommodation if you have upper extremity impairments. These power tools, impact drivers, and cordless tools in your shop, instead of turning wrenches or pounding nails, if you can use screws and these tools, they're a wonderful accommodation. Once again, you might want to use a Grippy's glove to help you hold it, or the anti-vibration glove with your impact driver to take that vibration out of your hands. To keep a nice, I'm sorry. Yeah. That situation of bending your wrist funny could be accommodated with a 90-degree handle. This one just clamps on with a hose clamp and a butterfly screw on it so that you could do your hammering this way instead of twisting your wrist like this if gripping is an issue. And this can clamp onto any tool that you're using, even a rake, hoe, shovel, whatever it is. You can add those on. This is a slicer knife, the same concept. It just has the 90-degree handle so that I can keep my wrist straight. Maybe you have a capping knife, a heated knife for taking the cap off your frames to be able to hold that. Maybe, I don't know what your situation is in your shop. Extracting honey, $850 for a powered extractor for free if you have a friend or a beekeeping club. I don't know, does Heroes to Hives have a big
Not yet.
extractor day? Let's all get together. And,
Not yet. We are working on an extraction facility, yes, as
Okay.
part of a new bee building that we're getting at MSU.
Okay.
So,
so there
not this
are-
year.
I
but
know Ann Arbor has a big beekeeping group, and maybe there's probably others around the state.
yeah, a lot of your local beekeeping clubs will have extractors available for rent, or will have honey houses that somebody has that they will rent out. So there's generally opportunities to extract with your local clubs.
So I would highly recommend that. You can get the hand cranker one, and that's probably okay for one hive, maybe. That's a lot of cranking and wearing out your arms for other things you might need to do.
If you got teenagers,
At our
they got
house-
lots of energy,
I was
right?
gonna say, at our house we have bad kid jobs.
There you go. That's a bad kid job.
That's a bad
Couple
kid
hours on the extractor.
Okay. You can get the ones to run with a cordless drill or a power drill. Those are okay once again for maybe up to 2 hives, but they take a long time, and it's still a lot of effort. And so $850 for your own extractor, and then probably a lot of other equipment. I don't know what all is included for straining. Do you think about extracting your own honey? Maybe you already do it. Do you have the hand crank or the drill? The hand
Ours
crank?
is the electric.
Thought about putting a drill on the top.
Yeah.
I got a shaft that I can attach a drill to.
Okay. And can you do 3 frames at
I
a
think
time?
this is 2. It's got
A 2-frame extractor? Okay.
It's kind of heavy.
So, just thinking about not everything is dollars and cents. Could I convince you to think about the assistive devices the same way that you would think about medicine? You'll have a hard time convincing your insurance company to get you an adjustable height stool or a table, no matter how much you tell them it's medicine for you. But if you had a medication that made you feel so much better and enabled you to keep your bees, would you spend $850 over the course of 5 years to do that? If your doctor said it's going to cost you $850, but you're going to feel better for the next 5 years, you would say, sure, I'll do that. $850 divided by 60 months. I'm not that good at math, but it's like, is that $10, $15 a month? You'd say, oh, that's pretty cheap medicine.
what's that table cost?
This lift table is $160.
It's about $14 a month.
What I was talking about was the powered extractor.
Oh,
Like the smallest commercial level extractor is $850. Compared to doing this. And how many years can you use that powered extractor?
Oh, some of those I've seen extractors 20, 30
20
years
and
old.
30
Yeah.
years.
Charge your neighbors rent.
Yeah, then you could rent it to your neighbors, all your friends here. Come on over. It'll only cost you $7 a month. It's a mindset of how much are these tools worth, how much is my physical health worth, and if I feel better out here, I'm going to do a better job. I'm going to have a greater likelihood of success keeping bees, and my quality of life is going to be a lot better. So I think, have I showed everything that's here on my table? I think I have.
The hooks, Ned.
Oh, the hooks. Okay. Weightlifters use these when they're lifting barbells to take the strain off of their fingers. Once again, it's a $10 accommodation if you don't have good grip with your fingers. So this is one version that I got from Amazon. I bought this one at Walmart. Velcro strap around your wrists and a metal hook. I don't have to use my fingers at all.
Wiggle fingers.
I can. There. So,
Good for the visual.
yeah. So there's just a metal hook inside there. I think it's a great accommodation if you're carrying a 5-gallon pail,
What are those
all
called?
kind of things. These?
Right.
Weightlifter hook.
Hold the box.
Weightlifting hooks.
Yeah, weightlifting hooks. The first ones that come up on Amazon are $16.99, but if you scroll down, you can find them for $9.99. These here. Ish. Magical power. Even using a shovel or a pitchfork, a rake, I don't know what all you're lifting and carrying, but take the strain off your fingers. For not a lot of money. Calculate that out over 5 years. It'd be pennies a day for this medicine. Maybe we should try to put these in bottles. Sell them in bottles. And you'd all think you were getting really, really cheap. Low cost assistive technology that's going to enable you to do your work and feel better for longer. And I'm sure that you folks who do beekeeping all the time have a whole bunch more good ideas like this. So if you would do me a favor, I have a bunch of AgriBility brochures and my business cards. And when you're out working in your apiary and you do something and think, wow, that sure felt better, or this is a great idea, you can send me an email or give me a call, take a picture and send it to me, and I'll keep building on these ideas, and we can keep sharing this document and helping each other out with this. So everything is here to be played with and practiced with. I'll be here till 11 o'clock, and so before everybody gets up and starts toying around with things, do you have any questions or comments? Oh, okay. Well, thanks for your attention. Come on up, see how things work, play with it, and ask me more questions.
Cold
Tell me-
water's in the cooler.
Yeah, there's cold water in the cooler.
Warm water on this side.
The AgriBility program I work with, we're a nonprofit, so there's no cost to you. If you want to tell me about, here's what hurts on me, and here's what I'm trying to do in my apiary, you got any ideas? I'm more than happy to brainstorm with you, do some research for different tools or ways of doing things, and I can even come to your place if you have some hives set up. That reminds me, another thing I was going to talk about for accessibility in the apiary is a boat dock. All right? Now, getting the hives up off the ground so that when you do your inspections, if your hives are up this high, I was at an apiary this last week. Actually, the guy who's using that, and he loves it. He's probably better at using it than I am. I gave you a horrible demo, but he's got all of his hives this high off the ground. So now when he's stacking honey boxes on higher, it's getting up like this. But when he's doing his inspections, it's great because they're right here. So I was at an apiary last year where they used a boat dock, and they had all their hives set right along the edge of it. So when they're doing their inspections, it's at a comfortable level. But when they need to put boxes on and things, they have a nice little ramp up over here, and they get up on, and now they're up as high as the hives are. So when they got to do tall work, that's comfortable, and when they got to do the inspection work, they just come down here, and it's basically a deck, whatever, maybe, I think it was 4 feet wide, so there was room for the hive and for them to walk along it. They also went and bought one of these adjustable height carts, and she loved it because when she was taking the honey boxes off, she could set the first 2 on and lower it, and then she could set the next one on and lower it. Actually, I was in a commercial apiary, and they had this concept, except it was powered, it was hydraulic. But when he was taking the frames out to put them in the extractor, once he got this box empty, raise it up, so he's not bending down to take them out of this one. Bring it up, and now we could take these and put them. So, all kinds of ideas. The sky's the limit. When you all start using these things, you're going to think of way more. It's how it always is with AgriBility. I'll go to a farm and give a few ideas, and they take my ideas and add 1,000 to it. So, okay. I think that's all I have. I only forgot half of the things I was going to say, so.
Thanks, Ned.
All right. Thank you.